Hi everyone, welcome to another Wednesday afternoon live stream, UTA Planetarium Star stream. So we are here again, but we are now opening with a sad news today. Just heard that this morning we lost Michael Collins. He was over 90 years old, right, Jim?
Yeah, 90 years old. He had lived a long, very long life. I'd be I'd be so happy to hit 90.
And he was the commander of Apollo 11 spacecraft, who pretty much piloted the module and also orbited. He didn't landed or he didn't stepped on the moon because the way it worked, the Apollo spacecraft went around the moon and left an orbiting satellite or satellite type spacecraft that orbited the moon when the others in the landing module landed on the moon's surface.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that the astronauts who stayed in the command module, they're all alone.
Yeah.
All alone. They don't have anybody with them. It's so far away. Also, I mean, being alone, you would think he would be a little envious of his fellow astronauts who got to land on the moon. And NASA actually offered him. They told him, "Hey, if you want to go to the moon again, you can." And he said, "As long as Apollo 11 is successful, I don't need to." What a stand-up guy. I feel like that's.
And it's a tough job. Not only you have to have all the skills, but also if you imagine the Apollo lander landed on the moon, it was carrying a launch pad, mini or its own launch pad from the moon's surface. So his other colleagues, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, stepped on the moon. They were in the landing module. So after the mission is successful and after they have the investigation of the moon surface, so they go back into the spacecraft. The spacecraft is sitting on the launch pad, and that launch pad launches the spacecraft, the landing module, back in space from the surface of the moon. And that piece, that landing module, finds and merges with the orbiting module that carries Michael Collins in it. And after the merge, so that spacecraft is again a flyable spacecraft in the between the moon and Earth. So and they go back. It's a long story, but this is that complicated process. But there is a lot of things, a lot of considerations that can go wrong, because if any part of the mission fails, then the Michael Collins is not likely be able to turn back or come back to Earth.
Well, I mean, if something goes wrong on the moon, he has to just say, like, I have to leave my fellow astronauts on the surface.
Yeah.
That would be awful.
Yeah. And also remembering from the all the documentaries, the landing of the landing module was also a very stressful time because they were running out of fuel. The critical fuel, the fuel was reaching to the critical fuel level, which is if you drop down below the critical level, there is not enough fuel to launch back the lander in space. So lander part or landing module still can land, but it won't be able to launch back from the moon's surface. So that was very, because it was the first time it was going to be tried, very stressful and very difficult mission. And Michael Collins was part of it. We lost Neil Armstrong quite some time ago.
Yeah, several years.
And now Michael Collins. So I mean, anyway, thank you for his service for the country and for the entire planet. because they have done something they never done before, and that was probably the farthest goal of humans.
Yeah, and still today, right?
Landing, yeah. It's still a big deal today. It's not easy. I mean, it's been done 50 years ago. Doesn't mean that we can just do it today easily. No, it's still a big deal to go to the moon, land on the moon, and explore.
So he actually flew one other mission into space. He was in Gemini 10, and he flew with another future Apollo astronaut, John Young. So kind of interesting. He was also the fourth human to ever do an EVA or a spacewalk. Third American, but fourth human. Certainly lived a great life, but.
And let's keep this picture over here. One of the fourth grader today asked the question that can astronauts fly without a helmet? So yeah, we had a long conversation with the fourth graders about that, and yeah, the helmet serves for many purposes, and actually the whole astronaut suit does. So the space is very cold place, so they need to protect their body from the extreme cold, extreme UV radiation, and also there is no oxygen in space, so they definitely need oxygen supply. So that suit also provides the oxygen temporarily to the astronauts. So we cannot go into space without helmets.
No, definitely cannot. Let's jump into
our
first
yes.
Space news.
What's next in the line?
I think what we're going to talk about next is our supermoon.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Supermoon. Again, is at another time of that. I'm really tired of hearing this supermoon.
I mean, it looks pretty super to me.
You can make it super like this, right? First time I heard supermoon, that was long time ago, but that was supermoon is pretty much like later invented or later pronounced term. So this is not really scientific term. Well, what they call supermoon is the moon orbits around Earth in an elliptical orbit. That means the orbit has a close point to the Earth and a far point to the Earth. So in that difference, the moon gets relatively close sometimes and relatively far sometimes. If that close encounter, the close part, coincides with full moon, which happens quite often, they call it supermoon. So the moon is only 14% larger approximately in the sky. So is 14% big? Well, if we talk about the total area of the moon, it's a circle, the circle area. When you make this area 14%, it is slightly larger, yes, but it is not actually noticeable. So especially the last full moon happened 1 month ago. You cannot compare the moon size from a month ago than now. So supermoon is not going to be noticeable just by looking at the moon. I cannot say, look at the sky and say, hey, it must be supermoon.
There's a cape always.
I think I'm a bad astronomer. There was a planetarium show back then, a bad astronomer, right? And
a fantastic show.
It featured Phil Plait.
Yeah, Phil Plait. He is my favorite. Phil Plait is my favorite edutainer. I don't even know if I should call him that, but he's fantastic. Lots of cool videos online.
Anyway, I seen the headline in the Weather Channel that it was a couple days ago. Tonight's pink supermoon. So a lot of people told me that it's going to be a pink moon tonight. So yes,
I saw the same stuff on Twitter, and I would like Levent. Can I just for a moment talk to you about what I saw on Twitter? Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So first of all, we had some comments. Jair said he didn't get to see it because it was too cloudy here. Oh, what a bummer. I didn't see it either. I did see that it was super bright outside, but I didn't see it either. And then Kurt said, "Is that apogee and perigee, or is it something else?"
Yes, apogee and perigee. Well, G stands for Earth. Apo, you can remember, like, up there. It is the farthest point in the orbit, if you think about an ellipse. And the peri means close, so perigee, the closest point to the Earth. So the supermoon happens when the full moon coincides with perigee.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I saw that the moon that night, and it was very interesting. There were actually clouds, but very thin clouds in front of the moon and moving. So it seemed like they were slicing the moon into two pieces. So the middle part was pretty much like removed from the scene. So you can see the top slice and bottom slice. It was very interesting moon scene when I saw it. But because of the clouds, it was also changing colors, and especially we are living in a polluted city. There are a lot of the emission gases from cars and everything goes into the air, and especially the object, the celestial object, is close to the horizon. It is appearing in that pollution. So, and it is changing the colors, and people are asking me like, "Oh, well, we saw the moon. It was really pink." No, the moon wasn't pink. The pink moon doesn't mean the moon is going to appear in pink color. So
maybe some pollution is pink, but no moon.
So the pink moon is actually the name in the Indian tribe, American Indian tribe calendar. There's
and
such
Farmer's Almanac. That's
Farmer's
the big
Almanac.
one that we get it from.
There is such calendar that every month, like we call January, February, March, they give a name to the full moon of the month. So for the month of April, the name of the moon is pink. Why? Because a lot of flowers blooming with pink colors. So that's why they named the moon.
All right, let's get to these Twitter perspectives. Really, I saw so many on Twitter. Although I didn't see the moon, I knew better than to even remotely believe it was pink. But I spend a lot of time on Twitter. My job is collecting news for this, right? So I saw people posting about the pink moon was giving power to women, and well, we certainly support power to women here at the planetarium. Some of the other stuff was a little more far-fetched. So let's read this here. This was a funny tweet. Due to the presence of the sun and the moon in Aries, Aries is the intelligence of action and intuition, and this ideal period will make making decisions and starting new projects good for the arrival of this full moon in Scorpio. How do you feel about this? I don't even understand what that means, I gotta be honest.
This seems like the horoscope.
Yep, you named it. This is just, some of these are so ridiculous. The April 26th full moon in Scorpio brings a very special message for you. Discover the astrological significance of this pink supermoon and how it will affect you according to your zodiac sign.
Well, over the years, the fortune tellers used celestial objects like the moon and the stars to read the fortunes. In science, it doesn't work that way because these things are not for fortune telling, of course. But the pink moon is, as we explained.
So the real question is, would a pink full moon in the constellation of Scorpio or Scorpius do anything to anyone?
Why it would? To be able to say yes, it would, then we have to develop an argument over here. And what the constellation Scorpio or any other zodiac constellation being in the background of the moon, I mean, the moon affects a lot of things on our planet. For example, we talked about tides, right, last week, and how the high tides helped rescuing the ship in the Suez Canal.
Yep.
So the moon causes tides, and people near the waters or boaters or the marines would know a lot better that the tides are happening all the time, and that the reason is the moon, the moon's gravity influence on our planet. So but the moon affects that much. I mean, the moon is not going to affect my career, my tomorrow how am I going to feel, next week how am I going to feel. It's not going to affect that. Oh, it's going to affect one more thing, the light in the night sky. So when the moon is up, farmers were able to work longer hours using the moonlight. So that's also another feature of the moon. But other than that, the moon is not going to affect much, especially
So
the moods and how we feel.
We're going to be unaffected by this, and it shouldn't change your behavior.
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and there is no such thing like, oh, I'm being like more anxious during full moon or something like that. It can affect the sleep cycle, because if your the room is getting a lot of moonlight, the room will be brighter than it usually is when sleeping. So yeah, that may affect the sleep cycles. But other than that, there is no scientific evidence for any behavioral or the moral effects of the moon on humans.
Nice.
Other
Okay,
than that, I feel myself, very nice when I look at the full moon, because it just looks good. It is just looking something nice.
It is, yeah, certainly.
Yes. What's next?
Okay, next we have this one. You brought this to my attention. I couldn't help but laugh at how ridiculous this headline was.
Headline was released
Yeah.
in April 26th.
Earth knocked off its axis by glacial melting due to climate change. Study. This is from the New York Post, by the way.
Yes, and the seasons are going to change, right?
Tell us, what does this mean? This sounds too crazy to me. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it sounds wacky.
Okay, Earth is tilted slightly from the North Pole towards the sun, and it is about 23 degrees or 23.5 degrees tilted. So that is the main reason for seasons, because the amount of sunlight and the angle of the sunlight changes as the Earth travels around the sun on the orbit. So what if that changes? Is that going to affect anything? Well, depends on how much it changed. So that story is right. Earth axis is slightly changed because the ice blocks are melting. When they melt, they change their location, they move somewhere else. And also there is one more reason in the article that was thought to be contributing to the shift, and that was pumping underground water to the surface. So if you think about, like, this is our planet and we are on our planet, if we change the weight distribution, that will change the dynamics or just the axial tilt and rotation rate of our planet. So when the things are changing, that will affect the lot of things, but the amount of shift that was measured for the axial tilt was only 13 feet. Yeah, I mean, not degrees, 13 feet from its old position to the new position, 13 feet. With consideration of the size of the planet, the 13 feet is not a very significant amount. So
13 feet is what is 13 feet when you measure the circumference of the Earth?
It is not going to.
Is it 1/10%, or
it is even less than that?
Yeah.
So it is not going to affect seasons. It is not going to affect the rotation of Earth, but it will just make the days slightly longer. But that long, how much is even like a small fraction of seconds. So it is not going to change much. Hi Kurt, when the moon is close overhead, its gravity makes me feel lighter. Then that's always good. Yeah.
If I was trying to feel good on the scale, should I only weigh myself once a month?
Well, you can calculate because we know how to calculate the amount of gravity force, and the gravity force is decaying significantly with distance. That's what we are giving example for black holes. The black holes have huge gravity force, but they can only affect the objects near them because the gravity decays with distance by square, right? So that means if you just go 2 times far away, the gravity force decays 4 times.
So you're saying that the moon would have a pull, and we could theoretically, I'm not saying in actuality, I could lose some weight on full moon day.
Well, I think if you calculate, it will be smaller than the difference of whether you're like before your haircut and after your haircut. It's probably going to make more impact on your weight than the moon being full.
But also, wouldn't it just the position of the moon in the sky be the big factor there? So like tides, it wouldn't be full moon, right? It would just be whenever the moon is above us or near the zenith.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably when it would affect you the most. Somebody's probably done something on this. I should do research for next week.
Yes, well, the tides are a different story. The amount of water, the water has a great mass around Earth, so it has a huge mass that gets affected much bigger than humans by gravity. Because for gravity, the distance is important, but also how the 2 objects massive is also important. Because you have to multiply the mass 1 with mass 2 divided by the distance and divided by the universal gravitational constant. This is how you get the gravity force. So the massive the object, more massive the object, is greater the gravity force. Well, us humans comparing the gravity, the mass of a person comparing to the amount of water on Earth is significantly different. So we are not going to experience the tide force, the same tide force from the moon as the oceans and seas and lakes.
All right, so let's jump into the next story. We're just going to briefly cover this because I think it's pretty interesting and neat to talk about. Last week,
Mm-hmm.
on Friday, we had a final launch. It was a delayed launch, and the United States put humans in space again. And this was, a lot of people refer to this as normal. So we have some pretty cool pictures of the launch I want to show here. This is crazy to me. This is the Cruise 2 launch as seen from Clearwater, Florida. This was taken just by a normal citizen. We have the name there in the list. This is how crazy it would look. This is still like 150 miles from the launch, by the way. It's exciting to know that hey, we're actually putting humans in space again. It's been a while, so I don't know. It's pretty interesting to me to talk about. We have another kind of interesting image that I do want to show from it. I thought was really cool, and it shows, for me, hey, things are normal again. You have astronauts sitting in orbit here. This is the commander, Shane Kimbrough in the foreground, or the close one, and then co-pilot Megan MacArthur. And they're just kind of saying, hey, we're in orbit, we're all okay. This is such a neat thing that we're not having to hitch rides with other people, in other countries. We're back to doing it again. So I thought it was pretty neat to bring up, and something we need to talk about a little bit. Anyway, we have one more news article, or news tidbit that needs to get covered. Oh, we got a question.
When is SpaceX going to the moon, and what are they hoping to accomplish in that trip? They won that 2.9 million contract for a moon landing.
Only 2 billion.
Did I say million? Yeah, it's
I don't know.
million doesn't have any. You cannot go even like 3 inches higher with $1 million dollars in space.
I don't think you want to stand the rocket up for $1 million.
Well, I don't really know the answer to that question. What is the, especially what they are hoping to accomplish on the moon surface. So most recent accomplishment was when the LRO mission started. They were hoping to find water on the surface of the moon, and they did. Of course, the amount of water is very tiny. It is not in the form of lakes and oceans on the surface of the moon, but they were hoping to find water, and with that water, water allows the using the moon as a like a substation for the destinations. Why? Because the spacecrafts are spending most of their fuels to launch from Earth. They need to escape from our planet first to be able to go to the destination. But if you carry all the fuel necessary from escaping from Earth, and then plus the fuel necessary to go to the destination, the spacecraft lifts heavy. So the idea is, if they can use the moon as a substation, the spacecraft lifts with less amount of fuel, and then stop by to the moon. By the way, spacecrafts are able to use water as a fuel through fuel cells, hydrogen cells. So they can stop by to the moon and refuel pretty much, and then go to their next destination.
Pretty interesting. I don't know if SpaceX is going to win it or not. I don't know if we ever got an answer on if they did. Sorry, they won the bid. Excuse me. And it's just for a lunar landing project. I'm feeding this in from Jennifer, who you guys don't get to see, but she's here with us digitally anyway. Pretty interesting though. Anyway, one last news update we definitely want to get to here. This is our weekly. We need to have a little thing that says perseverance or something popping up and screaming at you guys. You knew this was coming. For sure, you had to have known this was coming. But yeah, we had a cool update today with, or not today, I guess over the weekend, last few days, we kind of dropped a bunch of these. Ingenuity has now had 3 flights. 3 flights, maybe more by the time I'm saying this. I don't know. They're just doing them like crazy. They're just going as far as they can. And we got a really cool picture in one of the most recent flights that is important. So let's show you guys this picture. I'm kind of covering it up, Levent, but I spy a rover. This is the first image like this that has happened on Mars since Sojourner. It's the first time that another Martian spacecraft took a picture of a rover, and it wasn't a selfie. So right over here, you guys can see there's a little teeny tiny rover there. I think this is so crazy. So it flew like half the length of a football field. The rover did. It was a down and back trip, but still pretty awesome.
Those are probably the tracks of the rover, right?
Yeah, and that was another thing they were pointing out. It was like, hey, you could see all these tracks too. There's so much in this picture. Such a neat. Here's a slightly different view of it. Try to get this updated. There we go. You can see our little tiny rover way back there. It's just such a neat thing. So happy to see all these successes going on. You know, stuff on Earth might be crazy, but it's fun to see positive things happening elsewhere in the solar system. Anyway, that's it for my news updates, Levent. Do you have anything else? Anything we missed?
No, I think we covered pretty much. The big hit was having the pink moon and super moon today and the couple days ago, and I wanted to bring up that Earth's axial tilt change, because that was also very big news. I don't have any other thing, but if our audience, our viewers have any questions, they can post it on the chat, Facebook chat, or they can send us the Ask Astronomer inquiry through our website,
Definitely.
and we can answer them on the next week's video.
Yeah. And I guess one more time, for the sake of it, I guess in honor of Michael Collins, we hope that yeah, his impression on all of us is not forgotten. He's a fantastic human.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess that's it.
All right. See you next week.
Oh, wait,
Well,
before we leave.
Questions? So last
No,
minute.
just a comment, but
Okay.
still really nice. Thanks for tuning in, Lamia, Kurt, Jair, all of you guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. See you next week with more news.
See